Hey guys, so today's video is just going to be quite a quick one because I really want to show you a technique that I use all of the time in my coloured pencil work to actually transform it from looking very grainy and like a normal pencil sketch drawing to actually making it look a lot more like an actual painting. So I really hope you enjoy this video and find this really cool technique and sort of product to use really helpful. I'm going to be using 3 different drawings in this video to demonstrate the technique that I want to show you. And the first drawing that I'm doing is just of a pair of dog eyes. Each study is going to be of eyes. And what I'm doing first is I'm just creating a base layer of coloured pencil. And so this video isn't about how I'm doing that. It's really just to show you how we can transform this into something that looks a lot richer and just a lot more like a painting. So you can see that at the moment it doesn't look very rich, the colours aren't dark and intense, and it also looks very grainy. And so what I want to do is solve all of that. And what I use is the Zest-It pencil blend, but you can use any sort of solvent and a sable filbert brush, and this is the De La Rowney size 12 brush. And so if you use solvent and a brush and apply it like you would a paint, so using that brush, what the solvent does is it actually breaks down the pigment and fuses the colours together, and you can see it really brings the colours to life and makes them look a lot more intense, and it does actually make it look like a painting. And so you can see that as I'm going over each of the colours, it really just brings them out and it just goes 10 times darker and so much nicer, and it really transforms that coloured pencil work. It gets rid of all of the grain, all of the texture to it, and it just really smooths it out. And what I love about using solvent is the fact that when you add solvent to your work, you can add additional layers on top. You just have to wait for it to dry. So I just go over with quite a generous amount of the solvent. I do blot off the excess so it's not absolutely dripping. I do blot off the excess on a piece of tissue paper. But with the first layers of solvent, I do use a lot more. Some pieces of work I might use multiple layers, and so I use a lot of solvent. But with these studies, I'm just blending it out the one time with the solvent. And you can see the difference between the first half that's been blended out and the second half on the right hand side. There's just so much difference between them, and it's just so good. And the good thing about this product is that it is archival to use with your coloured pencil. It is a completely good technique and a lot of professionals use it. I use it all of the time, and it's just a technique that you can use with your coloured pencil art to really bring it up to that next level and make it look like a painting. And I'm showing you now what you can do is you can actually go over the top of your coloured pencil work. Once that solvent is dry, I leave it about 10 to 30 minutes, the first layer, to really dry, especially because you've applied quite a lot with your first layer. So you want to make sure it's dry, otherwise your paper is going to be a lot weaker, and if you add coloured pencil over the top of wet paper, then it might tear. But just leave it completely dry, and then the coloured pencil goes over just like it did with the first layer, and that's what makes it such a good technique, the fact that you can add lighter colours over the top as well. So I just want to show you another example, and this again is just a pair of cat eyes, and I'm just adding the layers. One thing that you need to note down is when you use solvent, you do need a good amount of pigment down on the paper to actually be able to blend it and get a rich look. So you don't need to press hard on the pencil. In fact, you shouldn't press hard on your pencils with this technique, but you do need to have enough layers down and enough of the pigment down so that when you add the solvent, there's enough colour pencil to blend and to get it all like merging together. Otherwise, what it's going to do if you don't have enough is it will still look grainy because there's not enough to physically, blend it together and transition nicely. It's just going to still be very grainy. So overlap lots of additional colours. Don't just use a few colours. Really get in all of the colours that you need, and then actually blend it out once you've added several layers, and this will give you a much more vibrant look. Like I said, you don't have to use the Zest-It pencil blend because I know it might not be available everywhere. So what you can use is stuff like paint thinner, Gamsol, Turpenoid. Those are a few things that I've seen other people use and they work just as well. I used to actually use paint thinner, but it was a bit too strong for me, because one thing that you got to keep in mind is that if you use some of the stronger solvents, then it can be quite toxic. So when you use this technique, I really do recommend keeping your area ventilated, having the windows open, having the doors open so you get a nice airflow in there. Otherwise, it can become very intoxicating for you and give you headaches and stuff like that, and you don't really want that. So here's the third and final example, and it works just as well with any coloured pencil drawing I do. I use it so much, especially with animal drawings, because of the fact that you can add the layers on top, like get that fur texture or feather texture in, and so I really like it. And There's just nothing bad about this technique apart from the fact that it can be quite strong, and if you're really sensitive, you might not be able to handle actually using it. But the fact that it is quite cheap and it does last a very long time, you know, if you get a small bottle, it does last a very long time. It definitely makes it a worthy technique to try out, and I really think you'll be impressed with the results. Anyway guys, if you do want to see the real-time version of this, then it is available on Patreon. All 3 of these studies, they're about 2 hours each, so you can follow along with me. Anyway guys, that is it for this little tutorial video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give it a like if you enjoyed it. But that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye everybody.